Hey guys, this is Killrob speaking, and today, still, we do not have another little dev update because our progress is rather invisible at the moment. Not that it isn't there, but it's just not playable and in a state which would work out to for me to show it to you. We have to wait another week with that, but instead I am going to show you a little bit about the progress in the big car building quest we have currently ongoing, and we are almost finished, as you can see here from the big list filling out with green. And our goal for the end of the week is to have at least one completed lineup in each of the 60 market demographics. Once we have that going, we can then start implementing those into the light campaign, the preliminary light campaign, and its pre-alpha, so to say, while we are polishing the UI and other aspects of it. And yeah, so one of the categories, as you can see, which is still not filled, is the fun premium category. A little bit of a strange one, that is. So let me just illustrate what I would think that would entail in building one car for that. For the sake of example, I'm going to build this car in 1992. A little bit random, but yeah, I think it's better to show it in a year which isn't the default year, 2016. So with the practicality demand in this category being reasonably low, we don't need that many doors. And the category really cares about cornering and sportiness as well as drivability in general, so a small-ish car will do fine. We choose a 3-door body because that slightly boosts prestige, even though they don't really care about it that much. It's still not hurting to have a little. I think it's 10% weight, score weighting. And we still need a little bit of practicality. I think the practicality score is 5% for this one. What we want to do is to produce this in a medium-sized factory, which means that we will have access to monocoque chassis and steel monocoque chassis more specifically. It is supposed to be a fun car, so let's go with some good suspension stuff, and while a little heavy and not really super premium, oh, we can do partial aluminium. That should be interesting. Let's go with that. And now just a little bit of grills. Well, we are going with a rear-wheel drive vehicle, that's what I wanted to say. And it is front engine, rear-wheel drive, and probably we want to flare out the arches a little as well, just to make room for a bit of wider stance, so that we can get better acceleration, like lateral acceleration in the corners. And we're going rear-wheel drive there. Okay, so what about the engine? Fun premium. Yeah, a little difficult to know what's going on. Well, it is not caring that much about prestige, instead it's caring about handling for the most part. So we don't need a V8 or larger in this one. Not necessarily, at least. So I think what I'm going to aim for is an over-square V6 of around-ish 2 liters and make it lightweight, such that cornering isn't influenced towards the negative too much. And if we want to end up with 2 liters, let's see where we go, like bore 88 and stroke just under 70. That sounds pretty good. Should be revving high without using too fancy components. We're going with dual overhead cam, as that is just becoming highly feasible in the 90s, and also fully alloy there. And we choose standard components. We want to remain a little bit on the cheap side here. You could go all out revving craziness, of course, but that would require you to have various add-ons for your factory. And I think we are good already with paying for these big presses for the steel monocoque chassis. So we just continue on here, well, let's take the starting point of 9 compression, and we don't want to go too overboard with the cam profile, something like high-mid range standard. VVT definitely helps, so we go with that, and naturally aspirated to keep it simple. And injection at 92, we do have multi-point fuel injection systems, and they are reasonably reliable too. We want to have the engine sound like a sporty engine, so we put a performance intake on it, and then we just go for a standard fuel because everyone wants to go to the gas station, to any gas station in reach. Also, we want to probably sell this car in all of the regions, so why limit ourselves there? Regarding the rev limiter, we only have standard components in there, but we made it very short stroke and pretty small bore. So I think 7000 is a good starting point, and we can add a little bit of quality to the fuel system to give us more reliability straight off the bat, and because that reliability probably will be lost by revving a little higher. So just add a little bit on... No, that was the wrong one. We don't need extra quality on the dual overhead cams because they rev to the moon anyway. We are just going to use a little quality on the bottom end section because we're using super cheap stuff, and little quality in there will not harm us too much in the cost-wise, that is. So for the muffler and headers, let's choose tubular, which is a nice lightweight option which doesn't restrict us too much, and I think we're aiming for something like 200 horsepower, maybe a little less. So let's go 219 here and adjust as we need later. Don't really need high flow catalytic converter, but definitely a freeway and a straight through muffler. And now let's see if our engine works. So just 150 horsepower. It's a little bit on the low side, but it is working, even though we are revving to 7000 RPM. So what I'm going to do here is just to add up the... there we go. Add a little RPM limiter. And we are at a reliability rating of 60. And now the only thing left, I think, is to optimize for fuel octane. And there's a little bit left in it before it blows up. Whoop! That was perfect. 91.0. 157 horsepower. Might be a little bit on the low side. We could add just a little bit of bore to get to 2.2 liters instead. That would indeed give us a little more grunt in there. Let's do a 2.2 liter and then get rid of the explosion in the engine again. And re-optimize it to 91. There we go. And now you see, well, the pistons are and conrods are complaining, but we don't really care that much. It still has very high reliability. We could check out here. So 60.7 is our baseline, and we're just one above to get this nice little drop-off, which will help us in the acceleration figures. So yeah, let's go with that. Should be decent. This one is definitely too high, so we close down the exhaust just slightly. We don't want to close it down too much though. We don't want to choke it. This is a rever after all. So, we're done here, and let's continue on to the car. Oh yes, we are going with a 3-gear automatic, because that is so much fun to drive, isn't it? Not really. We are going with a 5-gear manual gearbox, because if you go automatic, then you basically throw away half the sportiness stat already. So we are not choosing to have any kind of overdrive gear, because who needs that? And oh, that's nice. It already aligns such that second gear takes us to 100 kilometers an hour exactly, which we will need for our stat sheet to look good. Differentials, we don't really have that much power in here to warrant a differential, which would add engineering time and cost, of course, so we keep that to just as is. But we may want to have a little bit of quality in here just to get more power to the wheels. As you can see, that moves the graph slightly. So just a little bit more power to the wheels, because we have not chosen anything super fancy here. This doesn't cost too much and doesn't add all that much engineering time, but just makes your drive a little better. And I think for the fun premium category that would be in order. We go with sports compound tires, and let's see how large we can make them. 205s for that era. Yeah, front and back sounds reasonable. Front engine it is, so we are slightly heavier on the front. So if we want to have a sporty setup, we definitely need to have equal sized tires as a starting point. And then let's see how big we can make the rims. That is massive. Yeah, let's go with that. So we want to have as a small profile as possible, because that is the best for cornering on average. And also the 17 inches do add a little bit to prestige. While we don't want to increase too much the wheel diameter, because that would lift up the car and give a higher center of weight. So let's skip that. And maybe just a little bit of quality here, because cornering is so important. Let's go with a +3. And vented discs, I don't know how much this car will weigh, so I'm just going to guess. People in here are not so comfort focused, so I think we can save a little bit of money by just going single piston in the front and vented disc much smaller in the rear. Maybe that should work. Alright, and then this car, or these buyers, don't really care that much about top speed, which only really influences sportiness if it's really shit, and it influences prestige. We don't need that, we need cornering and like everyday quirky handling. Quick handling around the corners, that is. And yeah, with the cooling we don't need extra reliability either, so we are not going to go far beyond the required cooling. And now we are almost done. Let's choose 4 seats and not 5. That limits our practicality slightly, but then again just 5%. I think this demographic has more weight on comfort than practicality. And 4 seats is definitely more comfortable than 5 seats in the same volume. And as a baseline, maybe choose premium as interior choice. We may go to sport, but so far I think this standard choice should be good. Premium cassette players only weighs 17 kilos more than the standard setup. And we do need we need traction control in this vehicle? I am not certain, I'm not sure. So let's go with standard safety first, and we can look over these decisions afterwards. I think what is valuable to add here though is proper springs. And going for an air dampened setup, yeah, that sounds like something that would fit this kind of car we are building. Then we have a sports preset, and let's see what it does. It should be heavier in the front, so we want to change that around a little bit. And then we make the dampers a little stiffer there and just keep them around the same there. Heavier in the front, so let's make this more or less neutral on the sway bars to have a very even handling and get the maximum out of it. We don't want to have a roll angle beyond 3 degrees basically for this car. Ride height needs to be upped slightly, I would estimate. Let's go with 165 millimeters. And here we go. Alright, from the stats this already looks like a pretty decent setup. Let's... whoa! That was nice. We definitely want to focus on... oh, look at that. It already picked out the Fun Premium. This is the... ha! We directly achieved a top scoring category for Fun Premium. So our choices were pretty much spot on. But now we have to optimize a little bit for that. And let's just choose another pin for the second category so that we are not off-put too much or confused too much. And what better to choose than off-road utility? Probably the antithesis of a fun premium car. So let's go through here again. Our actual top speed was perfectly chosen here, 228. This curve looks, the acceleration curve looks optimized already, so we don't have to choose another differential. As you can see, that would add a lot of grip and stats, but don't forget you have to have a markup as well. So even if the stats increase slightly, you probably don't want to spend that extra almost 20 engineering time and 5 production units and lots of money to have that differential for those few extra stats, especially not if you're slamming on a markup and opportunity cost from the extended engineering time. So then sports tires, that looked perfect here. We do have enough grip overall and very good handling. This is terrible on the other hand. This is far away from being optimized, so let's bring the actual brake force up above the tire grip, and that we best can do with going 2 piston here, and we still have too much brake power in the rear. One thing we don't really want to happen here though is that we get brake fade, so maybe we want to keep this size such that we don't have any brake fade. So you see, decreasing it does help, but let's see if we get into any... There comes the brake fade, and yep, increasing it slightly there did help. So a size of 200 optimizes this result and all the stats. This is looking much better already. So, wow, okay, the handling at high speed is perfect. It's just neutral, 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 and then catastrophic understeer, which is reasonably safe. Not a catastrophic part of it, but, well, you get the gist. And what about the interior? What do people say if we go sport? They say, fuck you. So, no, we stay with premium. And what about people saying that they want standard cassette? No, they say fuck you to me as well. So let's stay with premium cassette. That was all correct. Traction control, not really needed here, because if we go back here we see we have a wheel spin factor of only 6.3%. That is pretty optimal already. And now the only thing left to do is to optimize the suspension tuning a little bit. We were really close with what we did here already. We have a roll angle below 2.6, below 3, so 2.6 currently, and we want to get the steering behavior even closer to neutral there if possible. It may not be possible, so let's go... Whoop, there, that already killed it, and it's difficult to see why, because this didn't change much. But what you didn't see is that this one ticked over at the high speed, and that is why the stats were destroyed. So actually this was pretty much spot on, but what we could try is to go with 1.5 each. That moves us a little higher, we get an even higher score, and the steering behavior is pretty much perfect there still. If we reduce this a little, nope. You can see this drastic change in behavior here, and that ticked it over again. And if we go the other way, nope, also, so that is more or less fine. Now let's check the damper stiffness, if this is all good. So if we go up, it goes down, so maybe we are a little strong there. Yes, we are. We do want to, nope, that kills sportiness too much. So I think we are all good overall. Yeah, so why hard optimize this now? Let's see, just to check the ride height where we have to put it. We can still go lower, which is increasing our competitiveness, and now you can see there comes the bottoming out. So we do want to keep the car at 161.4 millimeters ride height. Alright, that concludes this, but now we have to put the car through the factory to see if our optimization holds up and doesn't make the car too expensive. So let's... oh, and engineering time, 3.7 years, that's reasonable. The engine takes 3 years, so it doesn't take longer than the car itself. The engineering costs are both okay, I would say. And now let's put it into a medium-sized factory. Go through the motion here, and we end up with a car that is 87.2% affordable and has a total competitiveness score of 175.5. Now, this car will run at about-ish 30% markup, so let's take a look at how it performs then. And yeah, it still has the highest competitiveness score in Fun Premium, and 76.9% can afford to buy it in that demographic, and that is a good figure. So another thing to check is how will it do 10 years down the line? And let's see what comes out of there. Meh, yeah, more people can afford it. It's still really good. Now it's more like a light sport vehicle, but it's doing well. So 10 years down the line, it's future-proof. Overall, an easy build. I think we are done here. This is your Fun Premium car archetype. On an entirely different note, I would like to point those people who are generally enjoying my Let's Plays on this channel to a private project of mine, and that is a Let's Play channel where we are featuring, or we, that is I, featuring games not related to automation, but with a little bit of a different approach. And if that is down your alley, check out the channel trailer, which I add right after this here. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Hey guys, this is Killrob speaking, and welcome to my Let's Play channel. Some may know me as the guy who makes the videos on Automation's channel, and that certainly is correct. On here I will mainly feature content not related to automation, but rather the odd games that I play in my free time. After all, when you are creating a game, you don't necessarily want to spend your evenings with that too. In Automation, I'm responsible for designing most of the game mechanics, which I will turn into something like a developer perspective and commentary during the Let's Plays on this channel. I want you to get all the good Let's Play fun, but also catch a bit of discussion on design choices and game mechanics. If you find that an interesting approach and can stand the fact that there won't be a new video every day, feel free to subscribe. Alright, hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time.